Can't slay like iFerg or Godzly? Just play OBJ. If you're sick of playing OBJ and want to go for kills, here are some simple steps you can follow so you can step up your game and feel like iFrag or Godzly. In this game, obviously more often than not, unless your knife's iOS, you're gonna have to engage in gunfights. So, what do? You practice your gun skill. Having gun skill like iFrag and Godzly is no accident, and they actually put in work to be great. Having the right sensitivity, perfect aim, and steady recoil control are the areas you can improve on in order to achieve good gun skill. Choosing a weapon that you're most comfortable with is also important because it helps you perform well. My favorite guns to use are mainly the LK24, the QXR, and the Locust, all because they feel so good and fun to use, and it gives me satisfaction that I'm getting kills without using 3-shot ARs or some of the overpowered guns in the current meta. Well, except maybe the Locust. The ICR-1 and the AK-117 are also up there as my favorite guns to use in the game. Depending on the guns you like and the role you like to play, you should prepare your loadout so that you can switch in the middle of the game if you want to play a role that can help your team win. You can build your loadouts for roles such as providing support, slaying out, or securing objectives. From your primary to secondary, their equipment and operator skill, it all boils down on how you want to play the game. For solo loadouts, you can check out my video on loadouts right here. Experiment on your loadouts and stick to the ones that work for you. Scorestreaks help you gain advantage over the enemy team whenever you play well inside the game, whether that's racking up kills, stepping on the objective, or taking down enemy score streaks. The game rewards you with points that in turn gives you tools that can be used to turn things in a match. I typically run with the basics like the UAV, Shock RC, and the Predator missile. Low score streaks often help you get more kills, like the UAV and the counter UAV used together can help you identify where to position yourself in the map. The Shock RC is mainly used as a panic button or rush buddy when you want to go to an area from a disadvantaged position. Higher score streaks can also be used if you're playing more passive with an AR or a sniper and can really help your team in a big way. Say, if you activate a VTOL or a cluster strike or EMP systems late in the game. The Goliath is another useful score streak that doesn't take that much points to obtain, so be wise and choose your score streaks carefully. Before we get into the most important part of this video, make sure you drop a like if you want more of this kind of content in the future. It helps the channel get more exposure and hopefully it gets recommended to both iFrag and Godzly. Now for the most crucial part, we'll look into how iFrag and Godzly rack up kills while maintaining map control and holding an area for their team. In this particular map, Godzly likes to play and hold the area where the B flag is. He first provides support for his team so they can capture the B flag. As soon as they have control, Godzly takes over and holds the top of this building for as long as he can. You can hold the top or the bottom of the corner building in crossfire if the enemies have the A flag, so you can cut them off as they make the push for B flag. Helps distract them from retaking flags and you disrupt their enemy traffic as well, keeping them off from controlling an area for an extended period of time. This also allows your teammates to be ready if the enemy pushes. In this gameplay, Godzly holds the back alley and yellow area for his team. Some players always want to get revenge when you kill them, so their tendency is to come back and try to kill you. Godzly plays this smartly as he tries to anticipate them in various ways to catch the enemies off guard. See how he preempts from angles and use it to his advantage. Every time he doesn't see anyone pushing from gas, he goes yellow and tries to see if anyone pushed from granny and checks mid if enemies try to cap the B flag. While he masterfully holds this area, his teammates can control the other parts of the map and capture the flag for the team. Now iFrag is a lot more interesting because in the past he usually plays for Nyx, so he moves around a lot, going from one position to another so he can rack up kills. But in this particular gameplay, he managed to spawn trap everyone in the enemy team just by holding the warehouse in standoff. With his team in charge of the A and B flag, the enemies have nowhere to spawn but near the C flag, and since he goes near the enemy flag, that triggers the enemies to spawn at gas, in which iFrag anticipates them and gets the kill before they can even do anything. Watch how, when he doesn't see anyone from where enemies usually appear, he quickly turns around and preempts them because he knows where enemies spawn every time they die, and an estimation of the timing of how long will they get there. Trying to learn these areas and timings can help you predict where to look to defend yourself while holding an area. iFrag loves to play up close and personal in this map. Notice how he controls yellow first, then pushes up to the enemy spawn building and stays on top. With a suppressed weapon, this will be easier to do because enemies will have a delayed reaction when you start shooting at them. Again, like in standoff and like what Godzly does, he anticipates the enemy from a different angle or an area when they try to rush him. iFrag catches the enemy off guard and shifts their focus to him instead of the objective. This buys time for iFrag's team to position themselves in the map and go for the capture. He does the same thing if the enemies have the C flag. He first controls the tower area, and he slowly goes for the enemy spawn building, again killing unsuspecting enemies and anticipates them whenever they try to push for him. Being near your enemy spawn and killing them right there is really gonna be annoying for them, and that's what you want to do to disrupt their game flow. You'll see that both of these players take advantage of angles, pre-aim spots, and movement in order to successfully win their gunfights. Be creative and find unusual and different angles and head glitches you can anticipate the enemy from. Make sure that they won't expect where you'll position yourself next time they push your position. As for pre-aiming spots, have a rough image in your mind where the enemies like to run to and position yourself behind them, in corners, or between their spawn and the objective. Pre-aiming essentially gives you the upper hand whenever you engage in gunfights. Movement goes hand in hand with the things previously mentioned. Knowing the right movements isn't enough, knowing when to do them and having the instinct to perform them at the right timing in order to gain the advantage and counter the enemies whenever they perform movement against you. Play at your own pace and be calm in these situations. Remember that less is more. Don't just spam movement buttons left and right. Make sure you avoid being too fancy because being fancy only puts you at a disadvantage. One thing that's often overlooked in COD Mobile is trigger discipline. Just because you saw an enemy doesn't mean you should shoot at him immediately. It's best to realign your crosshair and make sure you're on target before you even fire at the enemy. For most advanced players, they prefer having to manual scope rather than using the auto ADS. Having good trigger discipline leads to a lot of things. Better aim habits, more damage to the enemy, potentially better accuracy, and less bullets used means less time spent reloading. If you want a more detailed video on trigger discipline, let me know down in the comment section below. That's it for today's video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter for some random clips and thoughts about the current state of the game. And for today's question, I want to know, what's your favorite non-meta weapon in COD Mobile? Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.